to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. 2 exclusive videos I want to show you on what transpired at General Ogolla's gate some few minutes to the burial hour, and these videos indicates the decision by Raila Odinga to skip that burial, because I think it really shows some part of an angle that maybe most of us had not pursued. When the distance between Nyangoma Kogelo Primary School and where the burial was happening, I think it's about 4 kilometers. So when the body was ferried from the airport, Kisumu Airport, they came through the Kisumu Bondo Highway, Bondo Road. Then somewhere in the middle there is a place called Ndori. Then they negotiate a corner to a Nyangoma Primary School. Then from Nyangoma, the service was done there. Then the body was then ferried for the burial somewhere near. It's close to the road. Just an inch from the road, you negotiate a corner and you go to his place. That's where he bought land. So these leaders that were in Nyangoma, after the service, they were supposed then to go to the home where that was actually happening. And I want you to look at the first video here. This is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, immediately the memorial service was over, and of course the military itinerary left Nyangoma first, and then they drove direct to the homestead. So leaders were arriving, and Kalonzo Musyoka here is seen stranded at the gate. He was blocked by the officers that were at the gate. The officers that were manning the gate were not actually exclusively military. It was actually a multi-agency team. So he stood there for more than 10 minutes. And he was blocked from getting inside. Remember, from the onset when the service was starting in Nyangoma, Michael Gitonga was the state MC in that event, kept on issuing a warning, and those who were following, that only designated guests would be allowed to go to that place. But there was no list of who was designated, even though that was a public event, so it didn't need any invitation. Leaders in the caliber of the former Vice President Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, and other leaders, they did not need any invitation to attend the burial. And that is why they went there and they were given time, part of the protocol at the memorial service, to speak. And I think on the side of the opposition, or rather also give their, express their condolence messages. And they believed very well that even from there, they would be allowed just to proceed and go there, because there was a question of designated. But I've tried to find out where was that list of who was there and who was not there, or was to be allowed and was not to be allowed. So Kalonzo Musyoka was stranded in this gate for quite some time. He was blocked completely. So you'll see what had happened, and this is very consistent with what had happened earlier, where the opposition politicians were holding that they need to know what really happened. I want you to look at the second one. But before they look at the second one, I want to remind you that I will be traveling today to Kano, that is in Kano, in Kisumu, I think borders Kisumu and Nyakach, to sort the Danny's house. Today, I'll be traveling today. I think the only deficit remaining is around 5,000, if I'm not wrong. And I'll be there tomorrow, during the day. I've also gotten contact with some fundis around that place. So I want us to go and just find out how we can sort and establish a new structure for her. So only have a deficit of 5,000, and I don't think someone or two, three people by tomorrow I think we'll be able to get that, so that I can also travel with my team there and be able to oversee and ensure that we finish the April project. This is the last project. This is the April project, and I think members of the board, I realize we have quite a number of new viewers, new subscribers. In this podcast, apart from political commentary, we also do charity programs. So the strategy here is we do in 2 months, we pick one project. So the last project we did in April, in February, and then we didn't do March, then we're doing April. So in April, we were helping some elderly women in Kano. So while I was in Kano, Dani Eda was the last house I actually visited. I think it's the second last, not even the last, it was actually the second last. And her situation was a bit more special and needed more attention. So we decided that because we went underground and we've seen, it will not be so much fair to just walk out without doing something. That's why when I came back to Nairobi, I decided we go back and do it. So this will be this. Then we finish this, we won't have any project. The next project, we will skip May, and we'll do the next project in June, which will be proposed by this. Even this was proposed by one of us here. So also gear up. And this time I was in Kisumu, Nyanza. I should be going somewhere else. So depending on the cases, on what you propose to us, what we can do in your place, we'll pick so that we can also be of good use to the society. Wajakoya's video is here.
Nitakore ni Wajakoya wenyewe.
Wajakoya is also another leader who was blocked. And you could see the way there was even, in fact, was there, and some lady, I think he's an online journalist, went and even wanted to do an interview even did an interview with him, and he was so furious that the first daughter, Charlene Ruto, had been allowed in, and himself, he was blocked. He seems to make a case, who between. So Charlene Ruto, who was allowed in while Wajakoya was blocked, of course, Charlene Ruto has more privileges. Proximity to power you can't compare, so it is normal for her to get entrance and Wajakoya to be denied because of proximity to power. But I remember this is the lady that his father, the president, said he had left her Nairobi and just was shocked that he got there. So he got to the event, the president got shocked that he was there, and even though he went there, and probably the president didn't know that he was coming, so we want to believe he was not part of the program, and so he went there he just ghosted in the burial. And so these two videos, I think not many of us seem to have checked at them, but you will realize these two videos reveals the environment, the planning, the schedule, and what was running in the back room on those who are preparing for General's death. I am not saying, and I'm not insinuating that Raila Odinga can be blocked because Orengo was allowed in, but to me it gives a perspective of what it is. So many people, I understand so many journalists were allowed in, They just got the accreditation to cover the event. The MCSK, there was another accreditation that military were doing, and just that to cover the event. But there was no accreditation. I've tried asking. There was no accreditation of those to get inside. Of course, there were so many. We just need to remain within the ethics, the ethical lines. But there was no specific accreditation to go for you to attend. Now, that is why I'm making a point. I think Raila's decision to skip the event was informed by the environment around those who are planning for the general's burial. And number one, I am seeing a scheme that had been humiliated, had been planned to humiliate those opposition politicians. And why it that even if they would come out to attend it, there is no guarantee that they will get some. And I think even Raila knew there was no guarantee that he wouldn't be there. Imagine Raila went there and goes there, and quite a number of things will not have worked into place. That is one thing you can see from the video, from the two videos. Number two, I tend to see some stray orders, stray layers of command. Stray layers of command, because the same command that was issued, the same order that was issued to block Charlie Ruto from attending the funeral seems to have also come from the same person that issued an order to block Wajakoya and Kalonzo. I understand Martha Karua didn't even reach there. Quite a number of opposition politicians who are there didn't even reach to that place. So we went there, and clearly there were some stray orders. And to the Raila Odinga's team, I think they was a bit unaware of what exactly would happen, because I don't want to insinuate that Raila would be denied the opportunity to talk. But look at that treatment. It might not be in the form of blocking. It might be in the form of what? It might even be in the form of protocols. You'll be put to all military and CS, I don't know who, or then you come way back. Then you remain back with some MCAs or MPs because of the ranking. So there was a bit of that, and that would have worked. Maybe would have created some some scenes there that will not be very interesting, because there is one thing about Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga, I think that's what people take with him, is a very courageous man, by the way. He has nothing to lose. He will do it, will say, he's his own person. So whether you like it or not, doesn't really care about it. But he will do the right thing. Lastly, I see a situation where the program, there was a trick that might have been used. The program was initially confined to be an exclusive military with only the president and maybe the family. So, because this is a CDF, this was the first burial of a CDF. We've never buried a CDF, I think, in this country, not in the 20th century, maybe come in Kitambo. But there was understanding that this is a military thing. So even politicians will not be allowed to talk. That was one thing that would have happened, that maybe politicians will not be allowed to talk. And so it will be the president, maybe the military, then one family member or something. That is what might have run in the people's mind. And I want to believe if one day we see the leaked copy of that program, that could be a thing. Remember, Raila was not sick, as was insinuated. It was not engaged anywhere elsewhere, as was insinuated by the brother Oduor. But he was attending a football match in Nyayo, the Mashemeji derby between Gor Mahia and FC Leopards. So that points out clearly that the decision even to speak was from an informed point of view. So I think with that in mind, I can point out clearly that he made the right decision. No, many may not even have thought that it will skip. Do you know even Oduor Odinga didn't go? And then I was being told something very shocking, that after the burial, everyone went. As culture will dictate of what's normally the norm, people who come from that area, after burial, maybe you'll convert close family members, and the father who is still there and is ailing is also one of the bereaved people. they didn't go to their home. The boma ya baba iko mbali kidogo, but it's a 10 minutes drive, if I'm not wrong, from where Ogola's homestead is. So they didn't go the other side, and when they thought there would be guests the other side, everything happened there, and then everyone came back to Nairobi. So much at stake, and